she had to have a C-section. And I looked at her and I said, do you think that you can have this baby naturally? Do you think that you can do this? And she said, well, I do think I can. And I said, well, you absolutely can. God made us as women to have babies. And so after her adjustment, she went home and she went into labor. And the next day they called us and said that she had her baby completely naturally without any intervention. So it was really just amazing that that baby's life has forever changed, because not only was she able to have a natural birth, but we built so much trust in that family that they brought their baby in and got the baby checked right after birth and wanted to make sure that that baby has a healthy life from the start. So there's nothing more amazing to me than serving babies, pregnant women, infants, and you can see all of our pictures, see how many amazing babies we see. So it's just so much fun, and the most important thing is just getting out there in your community, being confident in what you know, and really going out and reaching that population. The things that we've done are we have some students that were here actually that came with me when we first opened our practice to a cloth diaper expo, and at that screening, we made like 50 appointments. It was before we even opened, so we were so excited about it. But almost all of those people started under care, and to this day, they still are under care. And we did the cloth diaper event again this year. So people might not have those types of things in their community, but there's no reason why you can't get birth care providers and doulas, midwives, and those types of people together and start different events of your own to reach that population. Really networking if you have a birth center in your community, networking with the birthing center. In our community, we actually have an Army hospital, and the Army hospital has invited us, this year will be the second year, to go to the hospital and talk to the pregnant women there about pregnancy and chiropractic. So just do whatever you can to get out in your community and meet those pregnant women and just serve them to your goals. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. No, so we serve a lot of families, and it's just so amazing because having them, sometimes when these pregnant moms come in, initially it was kind of like a symptom based, where they're coming in because they're the baby's breached, and they think that okay, once that's done, then they're done with their care. And so my task today was to go over patient education. And that's a big thing, because when you only have so many visits, like for her, it was only 2 visits that we had to educate her and why it was so important to bring that baby in after that pregnancy. And a lot of it is kind of sizing up the person in front of you. So we do, patient education it's just so broad, so broad. It could be, are you talking to a business owner? Are you talking to a pregnant mom? Are you talking to a family and your kids are pulling in? There's so many things. So a lot of times what I've seen is like, when we help people with screenings and things like that, is that they want to jump right into subluxation. And I think the biggest thing with patient education in any aspect, whether you're in your office or outside your office, is connecting with that person initially and creating that connection so that they're ready to learn and they're ready to hear what you have to say. Because you could be, saying all the best, whatever you want, just high power. But if they're not open to listen to it and hear it, they're not gonna take action on it. So patient education is huge as far as creating that connection and establishing that connection with that person that's in front of you, right? And then trying to educate them based on where they're coming from, right? You're not going to educate a grumpy old man about why you should get your baby checked, not initially, right? You're gonna want to really connect with that person. So that's a huge thing. When we go to businesses, that's another thing is creating a connection with the business. How can you connect what we do with the business in general, right? Do they have a mission statement? Do they have a fundraiser or organization that they work with?
how can you connect with them and how can you help them? And then you turn that into how they can help you. Because it should be a mutual thing, right? Because if they're receiving and you're giving at the same time, then it's gonna create a really nice relationship with that company. So there's so much you can do as far as how to come up, because obviously business owners, they want increased productivity, right? They want to see their people performing better, less sick days, work days, and so Blue Cross Blue Shield study. I mean, that lays it out right there, right? That shows it right there. The Blue Cross, an insurance company, their goal and objective is to find risks, analysis, etc., and to show the benefits of those. And that study right there is huge. We use that with a lot of our companies that we get into, is explaining and asking them, could your company benefit from less sick days, less prescription use, higher morale? I don't know. Could they? I mean, give me a break. They absolutely could. So how do you give them that? So, because most people think that chiropractic's made for what? Back pain, neck pain, headaches. That's what they think we do. So when they realize that there's so much more to that, and you can educate them, I'm just telling you, even just bringing an ANS chart. Just like with our landlord, that was one thing that we did when we connected with our landlords. We wanted to really connect with him because he had a lot of influence on our build out, etc. And we literally, Dr. Smith and myself, we sat him down and did day one, right? We brought an ANS chart, a spine, and right before we went over our lease agreement, we literally just gave this guy day one, and our testimonial and working with Ant and our preparation, how prepared we were and our mission in this community, and that we were really looking to change, right? And so he just got so connected with that he just wanted to invest in us. He wanted that. He wanted that. That was an asset to him. But if we just went the normal route, right, he would have no idea. And that's the same thing with a lot of these businesses. If they knew what you did and the outcomes of it, who wouldn't want it, right? If they knew what we knew, they would do what we do, right? So you got to connect them with that, and you got to let them know what we do. So how do you connect with people? Well, anywhere. Anywhere there's people. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, anywhere. I mean, I look for, we just, we started a new position in our office, community outreach coordinator. And all she does, she's a sweet old lady, she'll be at AMP next week, and her name's Nancy. And that's all she does is network out in the community while we're in the office. She's going to marketing meetings. She's going to businesses and corporations. I've mentored her and kind of taught her how to approach these people, right, to expand. But obviously in the beginning we did all that ourselves. But the thing is there's so many opportunities out there. It's just you got to go for them, right? Because we see a couple of chiropractors in our office that are under care. And they're like, we usually try to schedule them at like 10 or 3. Yeah. So there's a big line outside. And they always want to know, how do you do it? And I say, because we're not, when the office is done, our office hours aren't our office hours, they're our adjusting hours. Right. They're our adjusting hours. Because I have people that say, they're like, man, I wish I had your lifestyle. 3.5 days a week? That's awesome. That's great. And I'm like, yeah, man, it's way more than that. Fridays, Saturdays, every Tuesday, I'm doing a talk. So there's always something, right? But when you get to see these and these moments here, it's all worth it, right? And then you got to obviously work hard. Then you can train harder to get your staff to do it and get them pumped up. That's where it's huge. Because once they start bringing these people in on their own, and then they have a relationship, and they meet them, and they come in the front desk and all that, it's huge, and it's crazy because then you get to a point where you don't even know how this new one got in the office, right? Because somebody else brought him in. It's really awesome. But everybody can learn how to educate on chiropractic, especially if they have experience with it, experience it and understand it. And I think with Nancy, that was one of the biggest things with her, is she worked in the office, so she got to see people get well, and she got to kind of go through that whole thing. And really educate on chiropractic specifically before we threw her out there. It wasn't just that we hired her for that position and put her out in the streets, right? We kind of educated her on that, got her to a couple conferences, so she can meet other like-minded individuals and really learn how to serve. So I'll tell you, the biggest thing is just any opportunity you can grasp it. And if you don't think it's an event or a talk or something that you could be at, just get rid of that thinking. Because we've been at crazy things. Like it doesn't matter. Like create a booth. They don't have booths. Ask them, right? Do you have a health booth at your event? No. Wow. And a lot of times what we'll do is it's called this is a good term to learn. In-kind sponsorship. An in-kind sponsorship. What that means is that you will provide your services in return for a space at their event. So there's no money exchange. Those are the best. Especially when the booths are like $300-400, right? In-kind sponsorship. So we'll ask, it'll say, yeah, and I always assume, like I'll ask specifically. Because I'm not going to go out and say, okay, so how much do I write the check for? Right? I'll just say, okay, so this is the event, this is this. Okay, great. All right, and what do I need to set up? You're going to have a table and everything ready? Power? Good, awesome. All right, well, I'll see you at the event. Like, oh, wait. It's like $250 for the booth. Like, oh, okay. Traditionally, we do an in-kind sponsorship. And most of the time, they'll take it, especially if they don't have a health booth. Because it's an asset to their event, right? If somebody comes to your booth, and then they come into your office, and then their life's changed, they might tell somebody that they saw you at that event. So it builds up that event too, right? At least that's what you can tell them. So there's so many ways to get connected, right? The thing about it is in marketing, you'll understand that when you're in a business, that you can spend 50 grand a month in marketing. So you got to be wise on your marketing dollars and where you throw them, right? There's so many opportunities. We just got asked to spend $4,000 to put our face on shopping carts or something like that. I don't know if you guys have that. Yeah, it's Stop and Shop. That's shopping carts. And I'm like, come on, shopping carts. We just don't do, and we don't do any print. We got rated Savannah's #1 chiropractor, and I was like, okay, I'll do some print for that. Like, that's cool, right? So we can like put it in a frame and stuff. Like, that's awesome. We did that for print, but really print is just not as fruitful. What I found is the most fruit comes from face-to-face. When you can meet them right where they're at, right? You can talk to them, you can interact with them, you can just connect with that person. They read your name and they see a free assessment, call in. I mean, there's not a lot of action right there. It's that face-to-face. So what I always tell people to do is how to find these events. What I do is I Google search network marketing calendars, and I've created I did a website on name.com, and it's free, and it's like $10, and I can just put all the links for all the different ones. So if I go to any computer, I can just open up like 15 different calendars, right? And then just look through them. And then you just print, just print page 1, and just print everything you think could possibly have something. You have a stack of papers, and you start calling through them and writing notes when you call, who you talk to, and the notes for that. You just keep going through it. And you'll book yourself crazy. You'll just keep doing that. You can also just bookmark things like that, do all the different event calendars. You can also Google search like booth June 2014 or whatever, those keywords. And then those will pop up in Savannah or whatever city, and just keep doing that. Because I'll tell you, the more events that you can really get connected with, obviously the better, especially in the beginning when you're just trying to put butts in the seats. And then obviously building those dinners, right? Those dinners are huge. You get yourself in front of a lot of people there. And then those talks. And just understand, and I'm not sure, I haven't seen a time card in a while, so I don't know where I'm at. But as far as the corporations go, they're not usually instant gratification. I mean, sometimes they are, especially if you have a connection, like with a practice member, which I always think you should always utilize your practice member base. Where do they work? Do they have influence at where they work? Could they get you in a talk? I mean, they obviously already understand the benefit of chiropractic. They're paying you every month, right? They're getting good results, so why wouldn't they want to share it, right? Why wouldn't they want to share it? So you want to really connect with your practice member base and build those events. But if you're going like a cold call on a corporation, it takes time, right? Just like the healing process, time and repetition to get in. Some are more fruitful than others, but just keep solid with them, right? Just keep that in the back there and always come back to it. and always ask for, when can I follow up with you? Don't let them say, oh, I'll give you a call later. Yep, I'll get back to you. Say, well, actually, let me write this down. When can I get back to you, right? Because you don't want to leave it in their hands because they're going to forget or they're, whatever. You want to always keep it in your hands. You want to keep the ball in your hands, right? So that you always can make the next move, okay? And staying consistent, connecting with that corporation, showing how you've worked with them or with other groups or organizations that are connected with them. Maybe you did an event or a charity or this or that, or a charity dinner. That's another thing. You did a charity dinner for them, or for a group that works with them, and you get a connection with that. So you always want to build those connections with those corporations because they're huge. It's huge. Getting yourself in front of a couple hundred people, right? So that's awesome. And also, as far as these corporations go, I'll go over this real quick. There again, there's a couple ways you can do it. Not only just thinking of talks, but also we've done lunch and learns, of course. But we've also done where it's a lunch and learn and a screening at the same time. So you'll do assessments, but you'll also provide food, right? Or we've done it where there's food, screening, and a talk. So that's a little bit more wild. A lot of times I'll tell you too, if you can, is pre-registering people. Instead of coming up to an event, where there's 150 people and then trying to scurry, it takes a while to process that many people. So if you can get them pre-registered, they've already filled out their screening sheets ahead of time, and you can get it even more fine-tuned where they're allotted a specific time when they get their assessment, it makes things go so much smoother. Because I'll tell you, when it comes to a corporation, time is money with them. And if you're wasting their time, they're not going to have you back. So if they tell you you got a half an hour, then you do a 10-minute presentation, you give yourself 20 minutes to close. Because if not, you do a 25-minute presentation, and now you're like, okay, I'm done. Okay, I had 30 minutes, I got 5 minutes left, and you're like, you got a crowd out like this in front of you, like right now, and now I got to get everyone's appointments, right? And not everybody knows how to fill out their sheet, even though you think it's that simple. It's like, give me a break. It's like your name, number, appointment time. They'll circle the whole time slot or this or that. So you got to you go over that with them, okay? You go over that with them, and that will definitely help you guys as far as getting over that. So was that good? Yeah. Was that good? Cool. All right, I'm all set.
So man, a lot of layers and nuggets of wisdom there. And you want, if you're here and it's like, man, how am I going to open a practice? How am I going to be successful? Jared and Samantha, that was awesome. So 500 visits, 10, 11 months. I'm super proud of them. I'll get you, right? Just got married. It's funny, I'll tell a little joke about the wedding. We're on the dance floor. I probably should do this one again.
You tell jokes.
It's a quick one. We're on the dance floor. We're up there dancing. It was on the river, but it was fun. And
how was that going? You got lower.
I think I lowered that.
No soul.
So Jared was like, hey, I'm doing all this great. I can't believe what married. He goes and he goes, and now we can finally focus on the practice. We can finally. I'm just kidding. You didn't say that at all. Just oh man. So yeah, that's the point. Is that even in the midst of a wedding, and they can still see a lot of things. A lot of fun. So I'm excited you guys are here tonight, and we're just getting started. Just so you know, the evening we're going to end at 9 o'clock tonight, probably 9:15. We only run over a couple minutes. We're going to hang out. You guys want to hang out and ask questions. Just so you know, I know some of you have different schedules. Tomorrow morning we'll be back in this room from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and we're actually going to break down budgets, analysis, how to open practice, what you can prepare for, what you should know, leases, all these different things, and we're going to do a chalkboard style. Hopefully we have a chalkboard here, or a whiteboard. So just so you know, the plan tonight is we're getting to know your relationship. Tomorrow we're going to break it down hardcore, so make sure you make time to be back here tomorrow morning, Saturday, tomorrow night. We're going to have coffee and bagels here too. So, all right, so talking about in practice, have a lot of things going on. Dr. Rusty, come up here, bud. We're going to have you speak next. Dr. Rusty had how many babies? 2 babies when you open practice, right?
Just 0.
0. So during their
practice.
practice, they have 2 babies, right? So it's like, man, things get complicated. Because some of you are like, well, I don't have anybody to do practice with, or I've got 1 million kids, or I've got all these situations, and we start to make potentially excuses for why we can or can't do things. But here's the guy. Don't let him fool you. Know his slow Southern drawl. This guy, he is full force, all out. Thompson technique, doing a great job. Auburn, Alabama. Wife, 2 kiddos, awesome team. You know, as a student, it's like, because the AM program, we talk, some of the stuff we talk about team stuff, it's like, I don't care about team. I don't care about team. Team's easy. I mean, not really. Team is the most challenging part of the practice, I can tell you. And Dr. Mike over here shaking his head, Dr. Qual, I know because I get texts from these guys all the time.
When you kill him, shoot.
But, you know, so, you know, because, you know, here's the first thing. The first thing, once you get to 200, 300, 400 visits, it's like, yeah, man, like Jared Smith, you got this down. It's like, it becomes snowball effect. Having an awesome team to support you and to delegate to and be on the mission with you is challenging. But, man, Dr. Rusty has done an amazing job with that. I want to congratulate you with such an amazing team and everything you're doing in Auburn, Alabama. Let's share, man. 500 visits a week, lots of kiddos, Thompson technique. Let's hear it.
So I do talk a little bit slower, and I got the Southern drawl going, but we're in Georgia, so we're good. Yeah, we like that. So I got this picture up here. Thought it'd be good because it's perfect. I'm talking on communicating chiropractic, and this is a great example of why it's important to communicate chiropractic. This little guy here, this is Jared, and Jared's dad came in the office, and he had just excruciating neck pain, like radiating arm pain. He was there because he had neck pain, and he just wanted to get his neck cracked and feel better. That's all he wanted. He wanted like 1 or 2 adjustments. But we took him through the process of properly communicating with him the value of chiropractic, building trust, and let him know that chiropractic care is so much more than helping someone with little neck pain or little back pain. And so we established value, and he trusted us with not only his health, he later brought in his whole family. This is his son, Jared, who's 16, who I'm going to try to get through kind of a softie. So I'm going to try to get through this without tearing up. But so Jared's 16. He's been considered nonverbal autistic since he was 2, and that's a whole nother story. But anyways, so he's been that way since he was 2. Very, very limited vocabulary. I mean, they could hardly take him out in public because he just had like huge just anger tangents every day, and just extremely irritable. You could hardly like approach him. Even them, if they ever approached him from behind him, they had to talk to him before they got there. He would flip out on them. And he comes in, and so Bill, his dad, is warning me about Jared. He's like, I know that you say you can help kids, and I don't know that you can help my son, but we're willing to try. My wife's done a lot of research, and she thinks that chiropractic care may be something that could help him. So we schedule him like 30 minutes before we open, because we want to make sure nobody's there. We're like, he's going to freak out if anybody else is here. Comes in, and we had to establish some rapport and connect with him and kind of earn his trust before we start working on things. He was able to lay on the table, which was a surprise to the parents. And we were able to adjust one segment. We adjusted his sacrum on the right. I'll never forget it. And he like jumps off the table. He was like, bye. And he wanted to leave. And so he leaves, and they come back the next day. And typically I'll do like my follow-up first adjustment phone call the next day. Didn't get around to calling them. And they come back and they're like, whatever you did to Jared yesterday, we want you to do it every day from now on. He said his sleeping pattern for the last 14 years is when he's up, he is up. I mean, just bouncing off the walls, up, does not take a nap. He hasn't taken a nap during the day since he was like 4, unless he was like in the hospital sick. Hasn't taken a nap, and normally he sleeps from about 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And when he's up, he's up. They said we left here, we went home, and he fell asleep on the way home in the car. We got him out of the car, he walked inside, laid down on the couch, slept from 10 a.m. to 8 that night, woke up, ate dinner, looked around. They were like checking on him during the day. They were worried about him. Checking on him, and he'd look at him, you okay? Yeah. He'd say, yeah. Go back to sleep. And he ate dinner and then went back to sleep at 9 and slept till 8 the next morning.
Wow.
And it was amazing. Now, the kid hasn't responded that way every single time. But it was funny. When I was searching for this picture, I searched our Gmail inbox, and I just searched Jared. Figured there'd be a picture of him in there somewhere. And I saw a text that his mom sent one day, this is several months back, said, "Sorry we're running late. Jared's sleeping so awesome. But that's certainly okay." You know, and so this is just like one of 1,000 examples of why communicating chiropractic is important. Okay, yeah. So let's go to the next slide. So that story just kind of it always fires me up. We have so many stories just like that. But I love Jared. We saw him this week, and he's just doing awesome. By the way, his vocabulary really cool. When I did his 3-month re-eval with his mom, in 3 months, she said his vocabulary had like tripled. Okay, just in 3 months. And now, I mean, he is a completely different kid than he was a year. We've been seeing him a little over a year now. Just did their 12-month re-eval. And completely different person. I mean, would not make eye contact with you for the first probably month or 2 months. And now he comes in talking to strangers. You know, he's talking in words and stuff, you know, like fluent sentences, but he's communicating and he is expressing his health potential. And it's unbelievable to see the change in him. So, you know, the great thing, and I tell this to our practice members when they hear a story, or if I tell a story, I tell them, you know, don't give me the credit because I didn't add anything to his body. I didn't take anything out of his body. It just shows the potential that we all have and every person has to express a higher level of function and their health potential. You know? So that brings me to this first slide, is when you're communicating with someone, you have to come from a place of confidence because they'll know it if you're not. Right? They'll know it if you're not fully, genuinely confident in knowing with certainty that you can help that person. Okay? And of course, you're in school now. You're pretty much engulfed in a lot of research and things like that. If you ever need to just be built up, which there may be times where you might need that to be built up, look up some research. You know, McCoy, we subscribe to McCoy's journal, the subluxation, Journal of Vertebral Subluxation Research, JVSR. And every now and then I'll read a story or one of the research, just the summary to our team. Just like, you know, look at this case study. This guy, you know, this individual had, you know, Tourette's syndrome and adjusting C5 or, you know, whatever it is, and it's gone. You know, I'll read those stories to not only build me up, but to build our team up and their level of confidence in knowing for certain that when they talk to someone that we can help them. Okay, so if you ever need that, read research, testimonials, read whatever you need to do to be built up to know that when you meet someone, you know that you can help them. All right. The other thing at the bottom there, confidence doesn't mean you have to be arrogant. You know, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. And confidence is very simply just knowing, you know, beyond a shadow of a doubt when you meet someone that you can help them. You know, you don't have to have, I felt like this when I got out of school, like I had to be this, like, you know, super charismatic person when I was educating someone on chiropractic. And the reality is that not really my personality, and so now, you know, when I talk to someone, I am who I am. I talk at the speed I talk and with the accent that I have, and you know, but I genuinely know that I can help the person that I'm talking to. Doesn't matter if it's, you know, some elite athlete or, you know, some person with this dire health problem. I know that I can help them, and people know that when you're talking with them. You have to have that confidence. Okay. So the next thing when you're talking with someone in school, this is another big challenge that I had to overcome, was you have all this information, and you're like, you want to relay it to people, right? And you may have experienced with friends or family members that you're like, I don't know why they don't get chiropractic. I've tried explaining it to them a dozen times. And I know for myself, it was, at times I was trying to explain everything that I knew about chiropractic. Okay, I expected them to get it, even though I just had this 4-year education. You know, we know a whole lot, and that's a really good thing. But when communicating it, you got to chop it down quite a bit. Okay, you have to be clear and concise with your communication with people. Okay, for one, they're not going to remember just if you give them a gallon of information, they may remember a teaspoon of that information. Right? And so just feed them a little bit of truth, break it down very basic, very simple, and that will help your communication with them very, very significant, keeping it very, very clear and concise. Okay? So in our office, we remind our team that, we're not here to sell, quote unquote, chiropractic. Because when you communicate it effectively, people get it and they understand it, and then they want it. All right. A big thing I tell people that come in our office is, I want you making healthy choices for yourself and your family, not because I tell you to do something or because your friends are doing something, but because you know and understand that what your health choices are good for you and your family. Okay, I want them to know that and take ownership of it. That's an empowering thing, and you want people coming to your office out of a place of empowerment, that they know it's good for them, not that somebody's just recommended it and they're going to just try it out. Does that make sense? So a big part of what we're doing, just in educating people, is to empower them so that they can take ownership of their health and ownership of their health choices. Okay? Of course, knowledge is power. We know people perish for lack of knowledge. And also, this is a quote, we're not in quotation marks. I tell people in our office, the more you know, the better choices you make. And the better choices you make, the better outcomes you will have. Right? That principle applies to anything in life. That applies to what you're doing here tonight. Right? You're expanding what you know so that you can make better choices, and by making better choices, all of you will have better outcomes. Okay? Just by being here tonight, when all of you open up your office, you're probably, you're going to increase what you are going to see by 50 visits a week at least, maybe more, okay, than what you would have been had you not been here. Because the more you know, the better choices you make, better outcomes you'll get. Same is true with our health. That's what I tell people in our doctor's report. Okay, I tell them that's a big reason why they're here for that visit. All right. Now, when communicating with someone, you want their experience in your office and their experience with chiropractic care to meet or exceed their expectations for chiropractic care. Okay, another big objective or obstacle I could say, that I had to overcome is I felt like I had to make everyone perfect, symptom-free, and I felt like for a while I probably portrayed chiropractic that way. Okay. And yes, a lot of times you do see these unbelievable, just completely just ridiculous changes, and so all of someone's symptoms go away and they never ever have another symptom again. And that's awesome. Okay? But the reality is that does not always happen. So my kind of setting the expectation to where I want their experience to meet their expectation, I tell them our objective is not to make someone perfect. Our objective is to improve the function of your body. All right? And by improving the function of your body, your health will improve. And that will always be a good thing. Okay? So that sets their expectations to, you know what, I'm going to do this because this is good for me, and my health's going to improve, and I'm going to be better off because I'm committed to this chiropractic care, and I'm going to be better off for it. If I stick with it, if I stay committed to myself and my health, this office here is going to help me achieve a higher level of function. All right. So we set that expectation so that it was a little disappointing at times where I would do a reevaluation with someone. I could just sense they were disappointed, and it'd been a prime example of this lady. I'll never forget her. She had been to all these neurologists. She had surgeries done for her migraines. All right, she actually had an artery taken out of her head. I think you could do that, and it'd be good for you. And her migraines completely went away, but like her shoulder pain did not. And so she just was so hung up on this shoulder pain, and it's probably in her shoulder. Probably wasn't even coming, from her spine, and she was just so hung up on it, and possibly I communicated, I dropped the ball in that communication that maybe I made her think. Her expectation was set at such that she thought she was going to be perfect, okay? And so you want to make sure that, when you're talking with someone, you're just honest with them, That leads me to this next point, complicating factors, okay? And that's a term that I came up with because people will come up to you. I had a lady after the last dinner come up to me and said, she actually left the building. She comes back in to ask me this question. She says, Doc, have you ever had someone whose baldness has come back, or their baldness has gone away and their hair's come back?
I need to get adjusted.
And I'm like, I don't know. If it's happened, they haven't told me. I don't know. She's like, well, I think I've got this. They've diagnosed me with this such and such, balding pattern, blah, 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 blah. People come in and you look at their pelvis x-ray and their hip is just like completely severely degenerated. And they want to know, can you help me with that hip? And that goes back to the very simple truth that I tell people, I say, you know what? When there's a complicating factor, okay, then I never limit the body's ability to heal. Okay, because I've seen some things that, quite honestly, I didn't know if they were going to go away or not, and they have gone away. So I never limit the body's ability to heal. But no matter what someone has been through, is going through, or will go through, they definitely need their nervous system functioning as well as it can.
Right.
All right. Because their nervous system is controlling and coordinating everything else in their body, and they need their nervous system functioning well. Okay, so I told a lady who had actually been to another chiropractor for a year and still had these migraines, and she came in our office and she wanted to know if her migraines would go away. I told her, I said, I don't know what kind of care you're under, and sometimes when there's a complicating factor, I never limit the body's ability to heal, but sometimes there are other things that are going on in the body. Okay, that we may or may not know exactly what's going on. Just be honest with them. Be honest with them. And I said, but beyond a shadow of a doubt, when your nervous system's functioning better, you will be healthier, and you'll be better off for it. And the lady had high blood pressure. She had some like digestive issues and some other things. I said, so worst case scenario is that your migraines don't go away, but your blood pressure is better, and your reflux is better, and you have a better quality of life. Okay, because if your nervous system's functioning better, your quality of life is going to be better. Is that fair enough? She said, yeah, it's fair enough. And her migraines went away. So, for her, we set the expectation. She was okay. She was committed to her care, even if her migraines didn't go away. Okay? So that level of commitment, because I was very honest with her, she trusted me in my recommendations for her for care, and now her a whole lot of her symptoms have gone. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So let's talk about. Did anybody here read my bio or notice anything interesting in it in the flyer? Did it really go out? Did it say something about hunting, killing deer? No. That was edited out. So I jokingly said something like one of my accolades was killed 4 Pope and Young bucks since graduating. And anybody here that hunts knows that's awesome. Dan, my man Dan in the back. So if you're against hunting, I'm sorry. It's fun and that's what I do. It's who I am. So don't judge me for that. But anyway, so I like to think about hitting your target. Okay. So let's talk about hitting your target. You'll never hit something that you're not aiming at. Okay. So you have to know your objective when communicating with someone. Know what are you trying to communicate with. Okay. Because if you meet some random person in the grocery store that is on the baby. It's them that they need to bring their whole family in for lifetime care. Okay, that may not be the place and time for that. Okay, so the next slide here, we're going to talk about just some examples. Okay, these are good examples. Certainly not an end all to everything but this is a good start. So your initial contact with someone, my objective is not to, fully educate them on chiropractic care, but very simply to get them in the office. Okay, build a little bit of trust, get them in the office, let them know you can help. All right. Then when we give someone a tour, we show them around the office. We want to make them feel welcome. We want to build trust, and also give them hope that they're in the right place. Okay. That goes right along the lines of what Jared was saying. In building hope, you're connecting with them. Once you've connected with them, then they're more receptive. I was actually taking notes when Jared was talking. Still learning, always will be. That opens up their mind to be ready to educate. Okay, I would flip these. Right, connect, then educate. I got that from Dr. Jared Brown. Okay, connect, then educate, and then you want to start building value. You have to start building value so that they place value on their health. Okay, then the doctor's report, you have to establish that value. You want to, at that time, you got to change their mindset, and of course, you want them to commit to their health and to their care. Okay. Next is connect. Jared, Dr. Jared, pretty much hit the nail on the head with this. So be real with people. I ask people, how is this health concern affecting your life? Make the connection between their health and their quality of life. Right. Most people, pretty much everybody, values quality of life. Who doesn't want a better quality of life? And so that's a big way that we establish value, is by connecting someone's health and kind of where they are with where their quality of life is now, and what their quality of life would be like if their health improved. Okay. And just a couple more slides here. So establishing value. How do we establish value? People will only commit to what they value. So you have to help people realize that their health is a priority. A lot of people are busy in life. They're working hard. They're playing hard. They're driving nice cars or buying nice clothes like Miss Corelli here, and fancy shoes. But no, that they're spending money on a lot of things, or that don't really mean a whole lot. Okay, sorry. If you got it, you got it. I'm bad. That's right. No. So I used an example today with a little lady. Spending $10 to go watch a movie and eat some popcorn. That's probably not going to improve your quality of life that much more, right? But an investment in your health is always a good investment. Okay, I got that from one of these guys. It was awesome. I heard one of them say that one time, and I wrote it down, and I tell it to people at least 100 times a week. An investment in your health is always a good investment. Okay? Help people realize that. All right? A commitment, obviously, that requires time and money. So don't belittle that commitment. All right? It's an honor and a privilege for people to trust you with their health. Okay? It's a big deal. It means everything to everybody. All right? Especially when they're trusting you with their kids and their baby's health. Okay? So next slide here. I'm gonna close with a little BJ quote here, and I love this quote. So it's hopefully all of you have heard it or read it at some point, but it's our illustrious Father who placed this chiropractic trust in our keeping. Oh, wait, I skipped a slide. Go back one slide. Yeah. Let's talk about this real quick. So your motive, okay? Real quick, last slide. Our motive it's got to be pure, okay? If your motive is a self-motive, okay, for money or ego or status or whatever, then it's very likely it's going to be this constant grind and effort. Okay? But if your motive is pure and that you're just genuinely wanting to help people, and I know that everybody here tonight, that's their motive, okay? Because y'all are taking time and you could be doing other things and you're here to learn. But when your motive is pure, people know that, they see that, and they trust you with their health, and they trust you with their family's health. Okay, so there are times where we have to check ourselves and we have to check our motive. So I'm going to read this last quote, and then we'll be done. So, our illustrious Father placed this chiropractic trust in our keeping, to keep it pure and not soiled or defamed. We pass it on to you, unstained, to protect, as He would also have you do. As He passed on, so we will. We admonish you to keep this principle and practice unadulterated and unmixed. Humanity needs then what He gave us. You need what we now give you. Out there in those great open spaces are multitudes seeking what you possess. The burdens are heavy, responsibilities are many, obligations are providential, but the satisfaction of traveling the populated highways and byways, relieving suffering, prolonging lives, adding millions of years to lives of millions of suffering people, will bring forth satisfactions and glories of greater blessings than you think. Time is of the essence. May God flow from above down His bounteous strengths, courages, and understandings to carry on. And may your innates receive and act on that free flow of wisdom from above down, inside and out, where you have in your possession a sacred trust. Guard it well, and communicate it well. All right?
All right.
Thank y'all.
Good. All right, so man, that was good. So you guys are in for a super treat now. As you guys are leaving, just so you know, we're going to 10x this next week. We're going to give you more information as we end tonight. We're going to 10x this experience next weekend. If you don't already know this, we're having AMP conference. It's free for students in Atlanta next weekend, so it's going to be awesome. That's next weekend down at the Atlanta Hilton downtown, all day Saturday. Free for students. We want you all to be there. But, it's funny what Rusty said, is that motive. What's your motive? Well, one of my favorite quotes is Zig Ziglar. If you can help enough people get what they want in life, you'll definitely get everything you want in life. I can tell you that, our motive needs to be correct, but the back of our mind, at least the back of my mind when I graduated, was student loans, payments, credit cards, cars, houses, houses, a lot of money stuff. And I can tell you that the most amazing thing about specific chiropractic care and chiropractic, just chiropractic done correctly, it's very, very profitable. It's very, very high value, and it's a lot of satisfying fun. So that's what I'm excited. And one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Eric Wolke. There's a saying that says, he loves this one too. He always says this. You know what I'm going to say, right?
Are you going to say it's cool?
Yeah. He always says this, and I take this from him. He says, you know what? Money, they say money can't buy you happiness, but I sure like to find out myself. You hear that? Right? They say money can't buy you happiness, but I sure like to find it myself. Just so you hear that. It's great. Dr. Eric Polk, you know, when he says this, it's like, man, I don't know if you read the flyer, but I'm for 60% pediatrics. Right? You know, we have about 60% geriatrics in my practice. When it comes to I'm serious, you know, we have as many geriatrics as we do pediatrics in my practice, and I love that. You know, Dan was peeking her ops right now. It's like before like 11 and 12:30, it's like half the people are over 70 years old, so it's fun. So whatever you want to see, but I will say Dr. Eric Walke is an amazing individual. Here's why. He's married to an amazing wife, Shannon, but he has 4 kiddos, and he's had 2 or 3 of them during practice. 2. He just actually he has a 4-week-old. 6-week-old. Top class. He actually, the first time he got any sleep was on a plane ride here today. So, yeah, so 1,000 visits a week, Grand Rapids, Michigan, doing big things, man. I'm super proud of you. Debt-free, all kinds of money, building an incredible house, building a bigger house than I got, 3 times the size of my house. So. You're finding out.
So I'm trying to listen to what he has to say, and Michael just continues to laugh and neck me here, showing me text messages and funny pictures. So I didn't say that quote, by the way. If you came to the booth or whatever it was called last October, there's a gentleman here that his name is Ridgely. You guys, anybody here for that event? Yeah. He's talking about his 7,000 square foot house on a lake that is totally paid off, and how he only hangs out with people that are worth over $1 million, and he said that quote. Just to clarify. So I was looking at this sign over here. I've been in this room how many times, and I've never actually read all of these. So I was just sitting here. If you put all of these on a post-it note and put this on your mirror every morning when you woke up, it would be worth your time just in that. The one that says keys to success, native endowment, painstaking preparation, long days and sleepless nights. I mean, that's the truth in everything that you do. That's going to be the truth in your practice as well. Painstaking preparation is what you need to do now. And long days and sleepless nights is what you're going to do now and for a while, for a long time. There's a season of sacrifice when you go into practice. And you're not going to have weekends off. You're not going to be building a home right away. You're not going to be doing a lot of stuff that you want to be doing that. These guys that already talked, I'm so proud of them because it's really just neat to see Dr. Jared and Dr. Samantha only a year out of school and changing the health of their community like they are. And it's literally amazing how many people that they're seeing. And they don't have to worry about all the other, they don't have to worry about whether they're going to afford to pay for this or afford to pay for that. Or they can't do this marketing event because they can't afford to do that this month. They can just go do whatever they need to do to see the most amount of people. And it doesn't matter what event you are. Sometimes people hack on screenings in these events, and I can give you story after story after story of events that we did, and we met people at those events and kids that were sick and suffering, and kids like Jared, like Rusty was talking about, that if we wouldn't have been at that event, we would have not met them. And how would they ever would have known about chiropractic care? And we had an event last October that was raining. It was an outdoor, like, October something or other event, heyday something, and none of the other vendors showed up because it was raining, and it was freezing cold. It was like 60 degrees in Michigan. And we showed up there, we set up the tent, and nobody else showed up except for like 20 people. And I think 2 people signed up, and one lady that signed up made an appointment for her daughter because her daughter had constipation, and she was giving her daughter Miralax every single day, and she would buy Miralax in bulk off the internet because she needed to take it so much. And she was finding herself running to the store so often to get it that she had stockpiles of Miralax in her house for her daughter. That was like 9 years old, I think. And so this was last October, so she's totally, that was like a month into care, and she's totally fine, no more constipation. Her whole family's under care. Her sister's under care. Her parents are under care. Her other brother's under care. I mean, if you could take that one person and, like, do a chart of how many people have come in from her, I don't even know, it's a lot. Everybody knows her when she comes into the office. Neighbors are coming into the office now. because we did one, and then all those other people, I mean, we just go on and on about testimonials. So just, you got to do everything you can, really. I mean, you never know, wherever the people are, that's where you got to go. So since all my content was already gone over tonight by Dr. Samantha, Dr. Jared, and Dr. Rusty, I'm going to tell you guys a story. You want to hear a story?
Yes.
Okay. So like 12 years ago, I was nowhere near knowing I wanted to go to be a chiropractor. I was a mechanical engineering student up at Michigan Tech in UP. And I wanted to make a ton of money during the summertime so that I could make a ton of money. And I was the kind of attitude that I'll work as hard as I have to work. I don't care how hard I have to work, I just want to make as much money as I can. So somebody said, well, why don't you go try and work on fishing boats in Alaska? Anybody here ever worked on fishing boat in Alaska? All right. And so we said, okay, let's do that. So we went through this whole process of trying to find out what fishing companies to work for. We had 50 fishing companies. We sent out resumes, so printed off 50 resumes, individually signed them all, individually addressed each resume to each corporation, sent out 50 letters to Washington State, to Seattle, and this was in April, and we were supposed to hear back by May, who wanted us so we could go out to Seattle and get on this fishing boat. So May comes, we were done with the semester, and no letters back, no responses, no calls, nothing. And this is, we already quit all of our jobs that we were going to have in the summer because we were like, hey, we're going to this fishing boat. Nothing. So I'm sitting in my buddy's house in northern Wisconsin, and we're like, we got out of school on the last Friday. This is the next Thursday. We still hadn't heard back. And we're like, well, what do? We called up the company that was supposed to find us a job. And they're like, well, you need to just go to the company and talk to somebody there. We're like, yeah, but they're in Seattle. We're in Wisconsin. They're like, well, we don't know what to tell you. Wait a couple more weeks. We're like, we don't have a couple more weeks. They're like, well, drive to Seattle. This was like 6 o'clock at night. We're like, okay, drive to Seattle. So I went back to my house, packed my bags, put the stuff in the car, left for Seattle at like 11 p.m. Not knowing that it would take like 26 and a half hours to get to Seattle. So we arrived in Seattle at about 3 a.m., which wasn't the best planning because we drove straight through, of course, because we had no money for college students. And my friend made it all the way through Montana, like 16 hours before he quit driving. He was like passing out. And then he thinks, oh, well, you haven't driven at all, so now it's your turn. Well, if you sit in the car for 16 hours, you're exhausted. Right? So I get in the car, but I have to go through Idaho. So we've just been going straight forever. And now I'm going through Idaho, and it's like this shit's little car. I'm like, whoa! He's trying to sleep in the passenger seat. Okay, so I'm way off track now. So we get to Seattle, we go door to door to all these fishing companies, we find a job, and they say, okay, you got to go to work today. We're like, all right, let's go to work today because this is what we're here for. They said, okay, well, the boat's down the coast of California. I don't think I even told you guys the story. But you don't care, he's texting anyway. So we're down the coast of California, and it was my friend and I and another guy get on this charter boat in Oregon, and they take us out to this ship. And so we have no idea what we're getting ourselves into whatsoever. I mean, we literally have no clue. We just signed up to go work on this fishing boat in the summer. We have no idea what we're going to make, except it's the percentage. It's like 0.12%. There's no guarantees. I mean, it's pretty crazy that we even did this. So we drive out to this huge ship. They pull us up on the ship. As we're getting on the ship, 2 guys get off the ship, and one guy fell down his pit and was could hardly walk. We're like, geez, look at that guy. And the other kid was 23, and he's like, good luck. I'm out of here. Well, they needed us because the other 2 guys quit. One guy hurt himself, and the other guy was done after 4 days. We're great. So we get on this ship, and the captain met us there. And this is 160 feet or 260 feet, I don't know. It's this huge ship, 6 stories tall. And he goes, okay, well, let me show you where you guys are going to go. And we walked around this thing. Have you ever been in a ship like that? It's tiny, narrow hallways and steep stairways all over the place. And so he shows my friend Pat. He goes, this is where you eat. They're on break right now. Go to the galley store and get your gear that you need to wear because you're halfway through your first shift. So we found out that we were working 16-hour shifts 7 days a week. So his shift, this was 8 a.m., so his shift went from midnight to 4 p.m., and my shift went from noon to 4 a.m. So I was halfway through my sleeping period. So I had 4 hours before my shift started. So he separated me from my friend Pat and said, okay, we're on different shifts. This is your room. And I was rooming with the Japanese guy. So the whole room was all Japanese stuff. And it was way in the bottom of the ship, so the window was underneath water. So this is a room that has never been exposed to air in 30 years. And there's bunk beds in there. So this is your bunk. You better go to sleep because you have 4 hours before your shift starts. And I didn't see Pat for 16 days from that point forward. So I get up about a half hour before I'm supposed to be to work. People are running all over the place. I didn't know where I was. They didn't like give us a tour of the ship. There's all these narrow hallways and stuff. So finally somebody says, "Hey, do you need help?" Because I could tell like I didn't know what I was totally lost. So I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I need to go eat." So I went. Now it's noon, right? So I'm eating lunch. Just woke up. I'm having like a burger, and I'm eating all this food. I go down. My first shift is weighing raw fish. So I'm weighing raw fish, turning around, and there's a whole line of a conveyor belt. So the conveyor belt's, I'm the end of the conveyor belt. So the fish are coming down, I gotta weigh them, I gotta turn around and set them on this thing. And so it's like getting way backed up. Like I've never done this before, so it's like backed up. And they're like hollering at me and yelling at me. And full rubbers, because it's water spraying everywhere, and like I got rubber coat on, rubber everything, rubber sleeves, this like face mask thing. And the ship's going like this throughout the sea. So the bottom of the ship is water. So it's a grading floor, there's water rushing back and forth. So I'm like this, I just ate, and I'm like, just sweating. Like, imagine, I mean, you can't breathe because you're in thick rubber. Sweating so bad. And I was like too slow, so they pulled me off, and then some guy came up and like just whipped it out, like, looked like he wasn't even working, and I'm like, and so I ended up doing that, and I did okay with that. I learned how to do that. My friend Pat got to work in the freezer, which you'd think the freezer would be the worst job. He's literally in the freezer hole the whole time, 16-hour shift. He comes out every 4 hours to go eat, go back in, but that was the good job. That was like, if you got promoted, you got to go work in the freezer. So I worked my way up the ladder, and I got to go work with the freezer crew for another shift up in Alaska. But, so we did this, left, so we were 16-hour days, 7 days a week. So when you get off, you literally go to sleep, because you got to go back to work, and they open your door and they turn your light on, and you got to go back to work, so you can't be late. Because if you're late, the guy, you're relieving somebody else in the shift. So if you don't get there in time, then he doesn't get to go to sleep, right? So you can't be late. And so you don't get to sleep in. There's no sleep. You don't get like a day off where you can sleep in. You don't get to sleep in. 16-hour days straight the whole time for 2 months. So we left there, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna come back. You're gonna do this forever," because all the guys do it forever. They're like, "No, I'm not gonna do this forever." You guys are crazy. But we stuck it out. We did a whole year. So the next year we went back actually, and we did it again because we were already promoted, right? The freezer group. So why give up the best promotion that you can get? So we go back again, and there was 2 new kids there this year, and we're like, we're loading the ship up in Seattle, and my friend Pat and I were looking at these guys and like, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into. And I remember we were about 3 weeks into that first trip, and I was sitting. It was like 12 hours into our first shift, and we're sitting eating whatever meal it was at the time, and this kid sitting across from me, and he just looked like he was just ready to die, and I probably was too. And he looks at me and he goes, "There's got to be another way." And I'll never forget that for my whole life. And at the time, I'm thinking, you're right, there's got to be another way. So we had a half an hour to eat. So I would eat for about 18 minutes. I remember I had this plan. I would eat. It took me 18 minutes to go up, get my wet clothes off, and go get my food and sit at the table and actually finish eating. So I would have about 10 minutes to sleep before I had 2 minutes to go back, get dressed, and get back on my ship. And so there had to be another way. And at the time I'm thinking, all right, there's got to be another way to be successful. There's got to be another way to make money. There's got to be another way to have a successful career. There's got to be another way. That my mindset there was still financial. And we made about 12 grand in 2 months working on that stinking boat. We worked, I don't know, 16 hours times 7, 120 some hours a week. So you worked like 6 months worth of work in 2 months because you just didn't stop. And it was good enough when we went back the second year. But looking back at that now, really what I should have been thinking and where it was leading me in my life was, there's got to be another way. There's got to be another purpose for my life than this, right? There's got to be another purpose, because what purpose am I fulfilling doing this job? So then I became a mechanical engineer. Had a great job, making a ton of money. I'm like, this is going to be way better than working on a stinking fishing boat in Alaska, right? But then I was salaried, working 50, 60 hours a week, making the same amount, it didn't matter what. So I just went from working a ton, and the harder I worked, the more I got paid, to I didn't even I could show up a half hour late. Half the other guys weren't doing anything, and they got paid the same amount or more than I did because they've been there longer. So I got bored with that in like 3 months. I'm like, forget this. I'm gonna have to work here for like 10 years just to work my way up the ladder. So I worked a second job. I was in engineering school. When I was an engineer, so I'd be a full-time engineer all day, and then I could work at night another shift, just because I needed to make more money to pay for all the stuff that I bought because I thought I had a great job. So it didn't fulfill my purpose. That wasn't my purpose. Right? I knew there was another way. There was something else. I would save this company millions of dollars during this project, but I'd never get any fulfillment out of it. So what was my purpose? Well, chiropractic is my purpose. I just didn't know it at the time. So y'all are here because you know chiropractic is your purpose. Well, maybe you don't know it yet, but you're here, so that's your purpose if you're here. And you literally change people's lives. I made this video for you. This week I was trying to think of what I was going to talk to you guys about. And so I had our staff, our team, take pictures of kids as much as they can for Tuesday and Wednesday. So we took all these pictures of kids on Tuesday and Wednesday, and I put this video together. So it says long days and sleepless nights. So I was up till about 1 a.m. after I got off the call with these guys at like midnight. I stayed up and did this video till like 1, and then last night I didn't go to sleep till like 1, and I was up at 6:30 this morning. So sleepless nights you're going to endure for a long, long time. But this video really, watching this and actually me making it and going through all these different kids that I got to see in here, it's so impactful. Just for me personally, because I get to see all these kids every single week and every day, and we have so much fun in the practice. I mean, I literally laugh all day long. Laugh and tell jokes and have fun and educate about chiropractic, and they educate everybody else because they're talking about chiropractic everywhere that they go, and they're so excited about it. I want to show you this video quick, and then I'll get into some more nitty-gritty for you. Oh, we need audio. It's on.
Anthony, there you go. You got our computer there.
It's better not to try to give him a shot. I mean,
10 minutes over that.
Ain't nothing better than watching you smile. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ain't nothing better than watching you laugh out loud, baby. Ain't nothing better than watching you be alone. Ain't nothing better than right now. In your eyes, a lot of secrets I don't wanna miss. Put your hand in my hand and make a fist. Grab my shirt, curl your lip as if you know. Staring back in my eyes, you know. I don't know what it is that you really, really want, you need. I hate every moment away from you. See you sleeping in my dreams. I know you're in another room. Know that you're safe from home. Know I'm coming home real soon. And I'm bringing all my love for you. Ain't nothing better than watching you smile. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ain't nothing better than watching you laugh out loud, my baby. Ain't nothing better than watching you be alone. Ain't nothing better than right now. And I can't take away the pain if I don't know you're hurting again. I can't leave you on your own if I know you're crying all alone. And my heart's pumping black and blues. That's how I feel when I'm not with you. A million years pass every day. Losing the time, I'm always on my way. I don't know what to do. hope you understand when I'm gone. Always come back home for you. Open your eyes to a brand new dawn. Ain't nothing better than watching you smile. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ain't nothing better than watching you laugh out loud, baby. Ain't nothing better than watching you be alone. Ain't nothing better than right now. Let us have this moment of truth. Let us have this moment without you. Let us have this moment of truth. Let us have this moment without you. 'Cause all my time goes so fast. All my life goes so this can last. All my time goes so fast. All my life goes so this can last. Ain't nothing better than watching you smile. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ain't nothing better than watching you laugh out loud, baby. Ain't nothing better than watching you. Nothing better than right now. Ain't nothing better than watching you smile. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ain't nothing better than watching you laugh out loud, baby. Ain't nothing better than watching you be alone. Ain't nothing better than right now.
A lot of fun. So we had about, we missed the kids in there, but it's probably almost 100. I think I had 95 pictures between Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday. And it's a lot of fun to see kids. So I want to give you a little walkthrough of this presentation here. I'll give you some pointers and stuff we do in our office to help educate kids. Kids, can you go back one to that first slide? Go back again. Go to the first one. What do you guys see in that picture? Shoes are two of the same shoe. It's Dr. Jared. You guys had that one yet? That was my first, this picture. And I actually had two in the same day. The kid has two left shoes. How do you get two left shoes? He's got a brother that has the same pair, and his brother went to school with two right shoes. The only one left is both left. So, Dr. Dan will teach you, almost Dr. Dan, release how to adjust a kid with two left shoes. How to do a proper leg length analysis. Okay, next slide. Education is key. A lot of the other guys already went over this. Educate about chiropractic for kids. In the doctor's report, we educate about chiropractic for kids through the whole doctor's report. I give a story of my son Logan, and you guys can use this in your office. Even if you don't have kids, you have a story. You give him a story about a kid that fell off a bike and hit his head. My son Logan was 2 years old. We were playing basketball at YMCA, and he was standing like 10 feet away from me, and the basketball hoop was over here. So as any dad would love to do, I have a basketball at half court, and there's nobody underneath the rim, so what did I do? Dunked? Yeah. Well, I probably can dunk from half court. But I chucked the ball halfway across the court, clanks off the rim, comes all the way back halfway across the court, guess where it lands? Right in his head. 1 in a million chance that could happen, right? So he's looking this way, and the ball come from that way, and it was like, smash. And I was running, but it was slow motion, but I was running to him, I couldn't get there in time, so he just crushed to the floor. So I ran over there and I picked him up, and he was screaming, he was crying for a couple minutes, and then, and this is part of my doctor's report is what I say. So I tell this story. So he was crying for a couple minutes, and then he saw a basketball roll by, and he went and grabbed it, and he picked it up, and he kept running around playing basketball, and it was fine. So when we got home that night, I checked the top bone of his neck, and I got an A-Nash right here. And I say, what's the top bone of the neck called? Do you remember? They say atlas, right? Because they learned that on their first visit. They say atlas. Or they say axis. I don't know why, but the last 2 weeks, everybody's been saying axis. So I say, yeah, you're close, that's C2, but what's the one above it? Atlas, right? So the atlas, and I go through why the atlas is important, how it does rotation, vertebral arteries, brain stem, all that. And then I show him then I pull the spine up and I say, his atlas was out of place. When I got home that night and checked him, his atlas was out of place. If I had to do a model like this, it literally felt like it was sticking out under his ear. That's how severe it was. So when I felt it like that, now probably wasn't really, you guys are in school, you're like, oh, yeah, actually it doesn't go out more than so many millimeters. But self-luxation-wise, that's what it felt like. So I checked it, adjusted it, right back into place. I checked it the next morning, it was perfect, it was where it was supposed to be. But I always think, well, what if I would have never found that? What if nobody would have ever taught me about subluxation? I never even thought to look for it for my kid. If I wasn't a chiropractor, I wouldn't even thought to go take my kid to a chiropractor to get checked. So you could use this as an example of little Johnny falls off a bike, hits himself in the curb, subluxate his bone in his neck. So, well, now I know, because I see all these people that come in, that come to the testimonial wall, that have all these